I'm not going to start with laughing as much as I did enjoy that. We're going to cut into something quite entertaining, and I think at the end of the day, this is a small synopsis of something to do with innovation. But Wells International is our company. We are global hospitality interior designers. We specialize in luxury hospitality. What I really wanted to do is just to unpick something today, because we do see a tremendous amount of RFPs, projects, internationally. Africa is a bit of a focus here. And of course, this is a Hospitality Innovation Summit. So it gives us a great opportunity to look at the world through a slightly different lens. We're not here to do a presentation, we're here to actually ask something. And you'll see what I mean by the presentation as it goes on. The topic today we've called M0Re. It's Home Unblanded. I do like the idea of coming up with a little bit of a quirky sort of title, but it will explain itself as we unpick it and go through. So I just still see some people coming through. Okay, let's kick things off. What are we? We are not all of these things. We are not real estate agent appraisals. We're not mortgage processors. We're not escrow officers. People want to know, what are we doing here? What are we even talking about? We'd like the idea of just telling you what we're not, because this is about many different stakeholders in the room. But what we are Imaginists. End of the day, we are people who see the world a little bit differently. We're interior designers, but we see so much in hospitality around the world that we actually have our own strong opinions and beliefs of what we think the industry needs or what is missing as well. So that's who we are, but we're interior designers. So if there are in the room developers, clients, operators, this is a presentation very much in your sweet spot. We are tailoring that to you. Of course, this is of interest for anyone else, our great suppliers and clients as well. So this is the situation. The current scene as we see it in branded residences. There's a lot spoken about it, but we actually delve into something quite specific. So Dubai, Miami, and New York, and you'll see where I'm going with this in a second, but these are the 3 top locations for branded residences globally. This is all information according to Savills. But in this region, I think you can start to see the gravitas of this particular segment. There is 30% of the total supply in the pipeline, and of course, 12% of the global supply. But moreover, if you think about what the race is until 2030, there's 120% growth for the next 7 years, 6 to 7 years. Already, this is a completely aggressively expanding market. So this is something to consider. So to get more specific here, this chart here, hopefully you can read that. On the far left, your far left, you can start to see the amount of branded residences that are either built or in the pipeline. So to ring fence that a little bit more, if we look at Dubai, Miami, New York, they're the 3 on the furthest most left of your screen. There is a tremendous amount in the pipeline even with respect to branded residences. Why is this important? So Dubai and the UAE as you know it, fastest man-made event on earth. It's no secret there. But you look at some of the proposed and in the current market branded residences, they are amazingly opulent, very luxurious, and it is a really, really expanding market for many reasons. But the kinds of projects here, we've got Fairmont Residences, we've got Frank Muller, we've got M0Re Living, even Baccarat, all of these interesting global brands which are really expanding fast, not just here in other parts of the world, but this is the current situation in the UAE. So all of these luxurious brands. Again, Miami, you can start to see the same sort of trend here. Brands like, again, Baccarat Residences, there's Porsche Tower, we've got an affiliation with Porsche, I'm sure some of you who already know our business are aware, Aston Martin, etc. So luxury lifestyle, definitely prevalent. And then in New York, just to kind of round that out, there's a slight twist in New York. So instead of being strictly heavily branded, some of these are non-branded. But their branding is 35 Hudson Yards, 53 West. These are iconic architectural monuments as well. So you can see there's a couple things happening with respect to the volume and those 3 cities and the positioning. Okay, So this is a diagram, a very simple diagram, sourced from our friends at Savills again. It basically outlines the significant disparity between the segmentations. Obviously, more than 60% of all of these supply is in the luxury segment, which is really interesting because now we can start to see the majority of these coming to the market are in luxury. So that becomes our focus. Okay, so here's the decision. This is a great quote from James Price. He's the VP of Residences for Four Seasons. He said, for purchasers, it's important to work out what each brand offers. This is where it becomes a little bit difficult. So, and how much that brand drives the value. You think about there's a real kaleidoscope of offerings coming to the market. So what distinguishes them differently? So this is our question. How do we create distinctive value in a saturated market? Again, branded residences, luxury. Do they all start to become a little bit simple? Very saturated market. The risk is are branded residences becoming blanded residences or blended residences? Do they all seem a little bit similar in that luxury segment? So this is one of our conundrums. This is what we're proposing today. Our ask is simply this. I do love a good cinema and the old Oliver Twist analogy. So please, sir, I want some more. The idea that as interior designers, we think as clients and developers and operators, we should be asking more of our interior designers and our consultant team. This is what happens at the moment. We're getting a tremendously large amount of RFPs are coming to us as a company. And a lot of our clients and our competitors in the room see the same thing. The RFPs are quite generic. The most recent one we received from the Kingdom is a 400-page document. When you read through it, the actual request for the design input from us, it's the same. It's a copy-paste. So at the beginning, we're seeing a huge amount of documentation coming through because of the volumes of inquiry in the region and beyond. And we're not seeing it ask for anything more special from a different branded residence to another. So that's the very first thing. The second thing which happens in interior design, we come in to the project when the architecture is actually frozen. So even now we're thinking, actually, we could have helped shape that very early on and work with our architect friends as well, and obviously get a better outcome for our clients as well. And thirdly, in interior design, there's often a very limited scope. So we're just seeing this as a situation that I think we could ask our clients and operators to ask more of us. What would that even mean? So, brands are complex. They really are. If you know anything about luxury branded residences, they are a soulful element. There's a philosophy behind it. They have personalities, and as the slide says, they do have behaviours. That's what people are investing in. But our RFPs don't request any of this. So how do we unpick it? So we basically believe this. When we do any design in luxury branded residences, there's three opposing forces. And what's really interesting, there is the location. So as a good example, and for our friends from Africa in the audience as well, the location is one of the influencing elements. Dubai is an example, and Miami. There's an element that influences the outcome of design. So that's one part. So depending on where you are in the world. But then there's the operator. So if you're one of the major operators, of course you bring a philosophy, a process, all different kinds of influences to the table. But then there's the designer. The designer actually has a philosophy themselves, as do Wells International, as do some of the other companies in the room and beyond, actually also create their influences. So there's a bit of a magic in the middle. And this is the thing that we want to try and unlock in the future with respect to the design offering and the process. Three different opposing ideas. So what are we asking for? In the future, why don't we ask for more of a specialist overlay? This is our ask. Can we ask for more? The Oliver Twist. So can we bring ID in early? Can we workshop more with our clients? Can we unlock some of the greatest planning potentials? And we've done with some of our projects, getting ID in early actually has a positive revenue generating potential that some of our architect friends don't appreciate. And to the gentleman at night, Frank, as well, F&B and with respect to function spaces, etc., we can unlock that and we can help that process early on. Secondly, branding. We actually have created 5 world's first brands in the last 4 years, and we do work very hand in glove with our branding colleagues as well to try and unlock the branding potential, positioning, and even the regional specific nuances that can be had with branding. Collaborative staging. What we see in hyper-personalisation, which is part of the conversation we're having in luxury, is actually the ability to make provisioning for collaborative staging in different spaces, specifically in branded residences. We're seeing this more in vertical towers. We're certainly seeing more where brands wanted to have stronger alliances to more regional luxury brands as well. The idea of curation and restaging is really important. Also, event curation in branded residences. These are the owners. They want to know that their asset they've invested in can restage and reinvigorate itself. And we can work with the operators in respect to creating some of that public spaces to actually have some interchangeability. We actually think this is a really interesting event. People want to know that their asset's working hard for themselves, and this is a design response as well. And thirdly, we look at the botanicals. The idea that there's a seasonality, as we all can imagine in different parts of the world. Actually, the way we do that is part of the restaging process. So we think about looking at different sorts of botanical strategies. And then we work with fashion houses as well. This is something that we've loved to do, to create really unique approaches to uniform staffing, service styles, even the greeter at the front door. Actually, we think this is important. So bring us in and ask more of us to actually create something bespoke and unique. Remember, we're talking luxury branded residences. And then, what's the sound of my property? What's the sound of my asset? We like this because our music producer, who's based in Bali and works throughout Asia Pacific as well, we believe sonic identity is one of the most silently growing elements of hospitality design globally. And we care about indigenous sounds. I want to know that I'm in Joburg or in Cape Town for that matter, or even Dubai. I need to know where I am in the world and the sounds of spaces, public corridors, even F&B, etc. We actually think that these indigenous sounds have a more rigorous understanding of an authentic design response. And of course, we think about art and the curation of art, a personal curation. So if I'm a W branded residences, and Marriott and the positioning of W as one of their luxury brands is very clear. But what if I'm an art collector and I own one of these assets? How do I work within that sort of spectrum of what W branded residences mean? So we actually think about the curation between brand and personal collection is something important as well. And again, we talk about things like signature olfactive, the sense, unique sense. It's not new to this part of the world, but definitely something that we think brands could ask more of, and we're happy to do that. And then also we think about the prop collection vetting. I know it sounds like a mouthful, but what if I had that unique piece that I just want to bring into my residences? It may be a gifted or maybe an inherited element, and we think about how we can curate the positioning of that within inside the property. So allowing that ability with the individual owners, we think is an important element. We basically think this is the future. Time's beaten me. I think the idea, we started with branded residences. We're moving into a world of luxury branded residences. And then I think we are now realizing that in this unique space, the ultra-luxe branded residences is definitely part of our future. Our aspiration is to definitely ask more. Usually designers want less. We actually think it's quite the opposite way. We hope our guests and colleagues and clients in the room do ask more of us in the future. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time, and have a great day.